What is going on, everybody? It's the Franz, and we're here for a SmackDown review for December the 4th, 2020. We are on our way to TLC. Now, the show started off with a tribute to Pat Patterson. We had everybody standing on the stage besides Michael Cole and Corey Graves, who were over on commentary. In the middle, you saw Vince McMahon, and right beside him, Gerald Briscoe. So, yeah, that of course goes back to the fact that they were the stooges of Vince McMahon back in the Attitude Era. Pat Patterson, a pioneer of this wrestling business, and he is going to be missed. Rest in peace, Pat Patterson. Let's get on with the show. So, we come in to the Thunderdome, and SmackDown actually got its opening video package, intro package for once, instead of just having the thundering lightning going on, or the thundering going on, and then, of course, the music plays. They actually got that. Kayla Braxton's in the ring. She talks about tonight. She's like, welcome to Friday Night SmackDown. And talks that we're going to have a main event with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns versus Otis and Kevin Owens. Of course, Otis got demolished by Jey Uso last Friday. And then Kevin Owens and Jey Uso had a match in which Jey Uso lost by DQ and then got destroyed by a chair. But she said that this guy has promised an exclusive interview right now. And then she goes down every accolade that Roman Reigns has ever had in WWE. 5-time WWE champion, US Intercontinental Tag Team champion, all that stuff. Royal Rumble winner. Yes. Then she introduces him. Out comes Roman, Jey, and Paul Heyman. Of course, Jey Uso just trailing behind a little bit, not looking too much in a good mood. Same thing with Roman. He stops, raises the title, comes down, and he tells her, if you're going to announce her, you should do it right. He nods at Heyman, who leans over to her and gives him another grand introduction, calling him the defending, undisputed Universal Champion, your tribal chief, the best of the best, Roman Reigns. Then she says, well, first question is going to be what happened last week. So we go to a video package of everything that happened last week, from Roman giving an earful to Jey Uso, to Jey Uso beating up on Otis, Jey Uso attacking Daniel Bryan, to Kevin Owens and him having a scuffle. Kevin Owens, of course, saying, hey, if you see, like you saying family means everything to you, surely treat yours like shit. So we had that match. Everything that happened after the end of the show. And she brings up comments she made and mentions how he's become a commanding figure here in the Thunderdome, and asks what's happened last week. Of course, we went to the video package. Let's see here. She asked him that since Kevin Owens doesn't fear Roman Reigns, and Roman didn't confront Kevin Owens, is Roman Reigns afraid of Kevin Owens? And you already know this was going to piss off Roman Reigns. He's like, this is the biggest thing you're ever going to do in your life. This is the biggest moment in your career, and you ask me this stupid question? Next question. Then she asks if you're using Jey Uso as a pawn. That's what WWE fans want to know. Are you using Jey Uso as a pawn? Manipulating him. He's like, do I look like a guy who would be manipulating? I'm a provider. I'm the head of the table. We went to bat. We gave you this opportunity. We have a seasoned veteran in Michael Cole who could have did this interview. Paul Heyman, who's been working with you on Talking Smack, went to bat for you, and you asked you not blow with just one question, but two questions. She is really annoying Roman Reigns with these questions. He's like, Heyman, deal with this woman. And Heyman's like, Kayla Braxton, who's the main event in the last 5 weeks of SmackDown in a row? That would be a Jey Uso. And what does the ratings look like on SmackDown over the last 5 weeks? Highest they have been in a long while. Is that manipulating? No. That's Roman giving his family opportunity. And then eventually out comes Kevin Owens. He says, it's been established that I don't fear you. We don't fear each other. And he sees no point in waiting until later tonight. He figured since Reigns didn't come to him last week, he'll come to him right now so they can settle this. He enters the ring, but Jey stands up to him. Jey says they run this show and they accept anything, which Jey also seems to forget that the last time he said they run this show, Roman gave him an earful. So I think he better walk that back a little bit. Roman says he wasn't talking to the busboy, he was talking to the head of the table. What do you say? If not now, let me think. Oh, I know a good place. TLC. And since you say you're the head of the table, let's get a table in there. Let's get some chairs. Let's get a ladder and a TLC match. Roman's like, you heard him. We don't back down. I've trained my family well, and I accept. And Roman said Owen wants it because it'd be good for his career to be on the island of relevancy. He says he and his cousin do not fear anyone. Jey said they accept, so head of the table accepts. Reigns says he'd whip Owens' ass if he was the man he used to be. He would whip his ass right now. But I'm a gentleman. There's a lady in the ring. Grow up. Jey, Roman, and Paul Heyman all leave. Kevin Owens just stands there as they leave. Owens says he just wants Reigns to know that he will grow up when Roman grows some balls. He says Reigns might call himself a gentleman, but right now he's clear to everyone that he's just a bitch. Roman stops, thinks for a minute, and just walks back to the back. So, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens TLC match. I think that would be a heck of a match. I mean, the last time we saw these two, I think, especially in the Universal title match, was when Kevin Owens was having his lackluster title reign. Not his fault at all. That should have went to WrestleMania between him and Chris Jericho, but you know how WWE likes to do, and that's not what happened. But, yeah, I can totally see this being a much better match than the one we had before, which I think was a no-holds-barred match, which I know Braun Strowman got involved in, and then, of course, later in that night, Roman was in the Rumble, which pissed everybody off. But this is a different time, different year, different Roman Reigns, different Kevin Owens. They're on the opposite spectrum. TLC should be a hell of a one. They announced that we're going to have a Pat Patterson tribute match with Big E, Daniel Bryan, and Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Sami Zayn. All 6 members are 5 of the 6 are former Intercontinental Champions, and of course, Sami Zayn is the Intercontinental Champion. I'm thinking to myself, why would you do a 6-man tag match instead of, I don't know, 6-pack challenge, something like that? Put the Intercontinental title on the line. I think that would be a better tribute to Pat Patterson than just some 6-man tag team match. Also, there will be a war of words between Carmella and SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks later on. Then we have Bayley coming out. She's going to be going up against Natalya. So, before we get to that match, we go back to the commercial break. We come back, and Jey Uso is ranting on to Roman in the back about how Kevin Owens crossed the line and disrespected them. Jey says he's probably took it too far, but he had to accept. Reigns calms him and says to remember, there are consequences for everything. He loves Jey, walks off, and Jey watches it cautiously, and we do confirm that the TLC match is going to happen. What are those consequences going to be? We'll find out in the main event. Bianca Belair is on commentary, wearing some shades with these metal, these tassels or something coming off of them. She's all ready to go. So, you have Bayley, the former SmackDown Women's Champion, who held the title for 380 days, jobbing to Natalya. This wasn't even one of those things where it's like Bianca Belair came up to the ring and distracted her, and then Natalya rolled her up. No. She was just hit into a sharpshooter, and she tapped out. It's like, what? Surely you're not going to have Bayley, a heel, tap out to Natalya. I think that hurts Bayley more than anything. Bayley's still down for submission, crawls to the edge of the apron, and yells at Belair as she laughs at ringside. And then we'll have that, and that was that. Bathroom break, and we get a video package of Pat Patterson, who passed away at age 79 on Wednesday. It includes Twitter tributes to the inaugural Intercontinental Champion from various wrestlers. Cole shows us the first ever Intercontinental title belt displayed at ringside. That was pretty cool, which Patterson held. Next, we get a video package with highlights from Patterson's life and career, set to My Way by Frank Sinatra, which was one of his favorites. Awesome. One thing WWE does well are these tribute video packages, or video packages overall. So I expected nothing less from WWE in this sense right here. Like I said, Pat Patterson was a pioneer in this wrestling world, and is definitely somebody who, he created the Royal Rumble. He was the one to suggest to Shawn Michaels that the super kick was the finisher to go with, because the super kick, that the Sweet Chin Music super kick that Shawn Michaels was using, was actually a setup move for like a flapjack or something. I can't remember what he actually used afterwards, but Pat Patterson came up to him and was like, I like the kick, so use the kick. And Shawn Michaels started using it. If you watch the early days of Monday Night Raw, you will actually see matches Shawn Michaels had where he finishes his matches not with the super kick, but with his original finisher. So we owe Pat Patterson a gratitude for the Sweet Chin Music, because he was the one who suggested the Shawn Michaels. So we have the Pat Patterson tribute match: Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, and Big E versus Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, and Shinsuke Nakamura. I would have much rather seen these 6 men going out there and having a 6-pack challenge for the Intercontinental title. Sami Zayn could win the match, I don't care, but I think, or a 6-man elimination match for the Intercontinental title. And it could have come down to Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn, or Sami Zayn and Rey Mysterio, or somebody and Sami Zayn. I think that would have been a better tribute than a 6-man tag match. That's just me. Of course, I was not even a twinkle in my daddy's eye when Pat Patterson was wrestling in around the world. So I don't know if tag team matches was his thing. So yeah, nice match here. Not much else you can say about it. The babyfaces win, as they should, but of course Daniel Bryan cradles Sami in after they tangle up for a bit for the win. So I would say that this is going to lead to Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan at TLC, just from the finish to this match, so that's something to look forward to. After the match, the babyfaces celebrated as music hits. Bryan, Big E, and Mysterio gather on the ramp while the heels try to recover in the ring. They rush back in the ring with the two sides facing off. A big brawl is about to break out as Nakamura and Sami charge, but to get sent flying to the floor. Ziggler dances around, thinking he's just gotten over. He turns around to see the winner staring him down. He pleads with and offers a handshake, but they're not interested. He drops in the and begs for some more. He tries to sucker Bryan in, but gets hit with an atomic drop. Ray hits a 619. He falls to the ropes. Big E scoops Ziggler up for the big ending in the middle of the ring, and they hit again as they pay tribute to Pat Patterson, and Bryan leads a yes chant. Kayla is backstage with Kevin Owens. She brings up the TLC match and asks why Roman's draw his ire so much. He goes on about how he used to respect Reigns so much. No matter Reigns was always one of the boys, but something changed and it's despicable. He says he himself is certainly not perfect, but he's tried to make amends and be courteous to everyone else, from the crew to the wrestlers and everyone else. A door opens and Kalisto walks out of the room, apparently confused about where he's at. Owens tells him they're alive and there's some sort of awkward comedy with Kalisto's hat. Owens goes on about how bad Reigns is, but he won't curse for the sake of Fox. Otis comes up and does some comedy with Owens, and Owens laughs. He asks Kayla to give them a minute. Otis gets hyped about getting his hands on Reigns and Jey Uso tonight and says that sounds good to him. So yeah, that is going to be your main event, as I've said before. I don't get why the whole I didn't get the Kalisto spot. Like, I don't know if that was supposed to be a tribute to Pat Patterson or something, but it was just weird to see that little Kalisto spot. We see Carmella and Sasha Banks in separate backstage areas, or AKA right in behind, like when they do these, majority of the time, and they don't show you on TV, but majority of the time they're in the same room. They want to make you think they're in different rooms, but they're in the same room with cameras in front of them. And sometimes it's really obvious. Like, I don't remember what the last one of these like this was, but there was one, I believe, with Ronda and Becky or something, or Ronda and somebody, you can obviously tell that they were in the same room. There was the shadow of the other person sitting right there. Back from break, and we see another video on Pat Patterson featuring more Twitter tributes from various wrestlers. The week's Max Flow, presented by Progressive, shows Carmella's recent attack on Banks and Banks' recent surprise attack last week. Graves and Cole are joined by Carmella and SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks for the War of Words interview. They are both in different areas of backstage. I call bullshit. They enter Cole and talk some trash between each other to start the interview. Banks says Carmella wishes she could be like her. Carmella calls her a Nicki Minaj wannabe. That's a little low blow. Nobody should ever want to be a Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is fake as fake can be. Cole brings up how long they've known each other, going back to the early days. Banks gives her some praise, but knocks her for going from guy to guy. Oh, calls her gutter slut. Banks says there's a reason they never face one-on-one, and that's because Banks is on a different league than Carmella will never be. Absolutely. This, whatever this feud's going to be, Carmella, Sasha Banks is going to need to have some back, something for her back, because she's going to be carrying Carmella on her back for the next however long this feud goes. Carmella thinks Banks is jealous, and she says Banks looks at her and her blood boils with jealousy. Please, why would anyone become jealous of Carmella? She says Banks worked her whole life, worked her butt off to become a WWE superstar, when Carmella just walked in and became a success overnight in half the effort. She says Banks is right. She's nothing like Banks. She's a superior in every way, and Banks can't handle it. She says she's not only the hot chick that is going to embarrass Banks, she's going to take her title. Banks says Carmella can have a title shot if she wants it at TLC, and promises Carmella has never been in the ring with a badder bitch than she is. Carmella laughs at Banks and cuts off her feet as Banks looks on. So yeah, there's that. Do I care about this feud? Absolutely not. Such a downgrade. You had Sasha Banks and Bayley, the hottest women's feud in WWE, on the main roster in 2020. And when that was done, you just lowered everything else. It's just not even close. It's night and day. Night and day. So we continue on with Murphy and Corbin. This is a rematch from last week because the Mysterio family, it was a 4-on-1 match, and you actually had everyone cheering Corbin. You actually had people rooting for Corbin to beat the evil, in quotation marks, the evil Mysterio family. What the hell is that? You gotta be fucking kidding me. Wow. The fact that you would have them heel, just terrible. So, we have him out there with the Mysterios and Aaliyah and his, all that stuff. Back from break, and tomorrow's Talking Smack will be the Riot Squad and Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn. We go to back in the ring, and Murphy's talking with Aaliyah as he waits in the ropes. She stands with her father and brother as King Corbin makes his way out, and he has two security guards wearing black hoodies. They accompany him to the ring and stand on the apron as they make his entrance. The muscle men then hit the floor to watch from ringside. By the way, the two muscle men that he has with him now are Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. The Forgotten Sons are officially no more, and now we have the security guards of Baron Corbin. WWE just wow. WWE just wow. The Roman Reigns and lock up. They had themselves a match here. It's more the same from last week, only this time Cutler and Wesley Blake are here. So, yeah, the Forgotten Sons, and they are a lot less, they're a lot more clean shaven. Now, Blake and Cutler go. Murphy brings Corbin back to the ring. He stares at Blake and Cutler. Which, by the way, must be really interesting for Buddy Murphy to see Wesley Blake, because they were former tag team champions of NXT back in, 2016, 2015, something like that. Corbin waves at Blake and Cutler to attack Ray and Dominic, and they do, dropping them against the barrier. Murphy ends up going out and chasing them off. Gets back in the ring. End the days 1, 2, 3. Corbin gets the win. So, Dominic and Ray are furious. They return to check on Murphy as Corbin and Blake and Cutler stand tall on the other side of the stage. So, either one of two things is going to happen. We're going to have a match at TLC. It's either going to be a 6-man tag match with Corbin and his goons versus the Mysterios and Murphy, or we're going to have a third match between these two, and everyone's going to be banned from ringside. Everybody. So you can have a proper one-on-one, because that was the complaint by Corbin last week, that it was a 4-on-1, and this week it was 3-on-3. Well, 4-on-3, whatever, but he still got the win anyway. So it's going to be either one of those, probably the 6-man tag match. Backstage, the tag team champions are hyping up tonight's main event. Robert Roode comes out and knocks them for talking about everyone else's business except what he and Ziggler did to them last week. Cesaro appears and the verbal shots continue. The Profits ask Cesaro and Roode where their titles are. The yell continues in the end of the segment. Nothing much happening there. I'm not really fond of the Street Profit backstage segments. I never have been. I think they've been mostly cringe as fuck. Otis and Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. So, just like, this is second verse, same as the first when it comes to these matches with Roman and Jey recently. Guillotine submission by Roman Reigns onto Kevin Owens while he wasn't the legal man, it looks like. He takes him out, DQ, Kevin Owens and Otis win. After the bell, he keeps the submission locked in as Owen fades away. Reigns breaks it and turns his attention to Uso. Uso goes to the timekeeper's area, brings 2 steel chairs in. Owens is crawling to the ring trying to grab Reigns' leg. And each member, like Reigns and Uso, each have a chair and they take turns delivering huge chair shots to Owens' back while he's down on the mat. Reigns tells Uso to finish Owens down. Owens places the chair over Owens and goes to the top, delivering a big Uso splash on Owens in the chair. Reigns then takes the chair and whacks Jey in the back. These are the consequences for opening your mouth, Jey. Should have just sat there and let the head of the table and Kevin Owens talk. He unloads on his cousin with the chair, driving into him while he's down. He kneels over Uso and Owens, yelling and taunting them, placing the title belt over Owens. He talks more trash as a shocked Heyman looks on from ringside. Says Owens tried to make him a monster and a mess with his family. So now he's going to take his manhood and his livelihood, and Owens and his family will fear Reigns. The referees try to get Reigns back off. He stands tall over Owens and Uso as fans chant, "You suck," and him and he raises the Universal title in the air as SmackDown goes off the air with his music playing. This is your consequences. I'm going to beat the living shit out of you because you didn't listen to what I told you to do. He told him weeks ago to just sit there, keep your mouth shut. I run this show, not me. So, that's what you get. You get what you deserve. You had your orders. You were supposed to be a good boy. You did not keep your mouth shut, so you have to pay your consequences. So again, Owens, out of the 2 matches we got for TLC, pretty much, Owens and Roman Reigns and Carmella versus Sasha Banks. I want to see what Owens and Roman Reigns does. Sasha Banks and Carmella, I feel bad for Sasha. Like I said, after carrying SmackDown with her best friend Bayley for this entire scamdemic, from March until Hell in a Cell ended, the match after that. So that's majority of the year. Majority of this year, SmackDown until Roman came back was carried by Bayley and Sasha Banks. You split them off because you really needed to, because if you didn't split them off right away, right now, you were going to run the risk of burning this feud out. Now, she's going up against Carmella, and that's just a waste of time. I'd rather see Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. That's just me, but they're both baby faces, so you're not going to do that. Roman versus Kevin Owens should be a hell of a match. But that is going to be all for your SmackDown review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The find me on Parler at The France Club. Fuck Twitter. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. And find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I'll see you guys on Monday for Monday Night Raw. Until then, my name is The France, and you guys have a good one.